In this video, I feed a dish towel to a poodle, a fly to a spider, and some chops to a human. I also discovered that sometimes, even when the wind is in your favor, sails can actually slow you down on an electric boat. Well, I have finally left Monopoli, a very expensive stay, a little bit of damage to the boat, and now I'm heading towards Bundesi. I'm not sure I'll get all the way to Bundesi tonight, but I'll get as far as I can. I've still got the swell left over from the big wind. It's on the side, which is a bit of a pain. I suppose the side is better than on the front. And I haven't got any wind to sail with. I think I'm going into about a 4 or 5 knot headwind, so it's going to be a bit of a slow day. It doesn't look like there's too many clouds. There's some low clouds, but hopefully that'll burn off later, and I'll get full sun and try and motor all my way there. Alright, so I've arrived at the port of Sabaletri. I got an email from Bundesi's port control, and they said, no, you can just go in and you can ask for the transit dock and you can stay there for 24 hours. And I went in, nice and shallow. I had about 1.3, 1.4 meters under the boat. I hung around and I phoned the local Coast Guard, and they said it's closed, which is very weird. So I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I came outside. This is a marked anchorage, but it's very close to the harbour entrance, so hopefully it won't be too much of an issue. At least I have proof that I tried to get into the harbour, if anyone does complain. Quite a few rocks all around. I thought I might want to be a little bit closer that way, but I didn't know what was where anyway. And there's a little reef sticking out over there. You can see the waves are breaking over it. So anyway, I will stay here for the night, unless I get requests to move. And tomorrow I will head to Bundesi. So that's the plan. It's still quite early, but not uncomfortably so. I think I could sleep through this. It's a little bit rocky, but yeah, I've slept through worse. So let's see how it goes. So a couple of things have had to change because it's getting quite late in the year, and one of them is making sure you get full use out of the sun. Now, typically we would cook at night, we eat our cooked meal at night, and then the next day, you know, they'd have to wait to recharge the batteries. What I like to do now, though, is cook on the last bit of sunlight, and today I'm having some pork rashers. Ooh, there we go, some pork rashers. And I started cooking them at about 4 o'clock, I think. They're basically ready, and the batteries are still full. So that means when I go to bed I won't drain any more power than I need to. I've also heated up the water, so I'll have a hot shower later. And the only difference is that I had to start cooking a little bit earlier. Being this late in the year, I mean, it's already in the last, almost the last week of October. The sun has been setting at 6 o'clock. In fact, I think tonight is 6 on the dot, and it'll be setting earlier than that going forward. So it does mean that you've got to make the best use of it throughout the day. So that's what I've done. Alright, so that's where I'm going to spend the night tonight. Just got to make sure that I don't leave forward. I leave between that cardinal marker and the green harbour entry marker, and then I can turn right. Cute little town, very friendly people. I spoke to the Liga Naval. They said I'm happy to anchor here, and I spoke to these fishermen and they said, yeah, no problem at all, I can stay tonight quite happily. So hopefully there's no appearance from a coast guard, but other than that I think all is well for the night. Good morning. Up with the sunrise today. How early is it? It is now 6:30, and the sun is just coming up. And I thought I'd get an early start to the day. I've got 23 miles to do. It's a longish day, but not too long, but it's very early, so I'll get there quite early on time. Sunrise, looking beautiful. And I didn't want to go too early because there's a reef over there. You can see some of it sticking out, but it extends all the way around here. And so I waited for that to settle, and now I am on my way. Next up, Bundesi. Looks like I'm doing my crossing on this weekend, and I suspect I'll have a 0 wind day. Hopefully the sea will be nice and smooth like this again, and hopefully I'll just motor across at sort of a low speed. I'll obviously do more when the sun has fully charged the batteries, but for my nighttime part of the journey, this is probably what I'll do, just in case it's cloudy the next day. And we finally have the sun starting to peek up over the water. In reality it's bright red, on my screen it looks yellow. So I've got two spiders that live on the boat, and I caught a mosquito earlier and threw it into this guy's web. He seems to be happy with the meal. The other one lives outside the boat, and unfortunately when I was washing the windows I sprayed him with window lean. He didn't seem too happy, so I got the water sprayer out and I sprayed him with some water afterwards, and then he disappeared, which I think is a good sign. But this guy's going to enjoy his free meal. And let's see, he lives in the little crack between the window and this plastic cover. Let's see if he's taken up there. There you go, took your snack. That's kind of where he lives. The efficiency of the electric motors at low power is quite something to see. So I've got 400 watts in total, 200 on each motor going into the boat, and I'm doing probably about 2.8 knots on average. I say 3 knots occasionally, but 2.8 seems to be the average amount, which is really, really incredible. Alright, so it's about 10 to 9 and I've just started putting power into the battery banks now. So from now on, if the sky stays clear, I'll be charging up, and once batteries are charged, then I can start accelerating a little. Sometimes I start accelerating a little bit early. If I know the batteries are going to charge, I'll use a bit of extra power, because it's more efficient to use more power at low power levels than it is to use more power at high power levels. So that's where I might do some. I've increased the power on each motor to 330, so 660 watts going into the motors. I'm doing 3.2 knots, which is fairly slow. The only thing to report is that, I'm not sure if you can see it, but on the controller symbol there's a little battery symbol. And what that means, let's see if I can get even closer, is that the batteries in the controller were running at low. There were some cloudy days, so they weren't in the sun. So I've got the controllers facing the sun now, and hopefully charging up. It's one of my pet peeves about these e-propulsion controllers. Okay, so they're solar powered, which is great. You don't need to plug them into charge, but to plug them in, you've got to plug them into the motor, which for me is in that locker in the back there, which is a real pain. But the biggest problem is you don't get a percentage reading like you do on pretty much every other device there. So you never know when they're full until they start flashing, and then it's empty. And the flashing symbol, tiny little battery symbol in the corner of the controller, is so hard to see. You miss it most of the time, and then you end up without batteries, and then you've got to plug it in. So I don't like it at all. If e-propulsion wanted to do a software update that just showed a percentage of the battery level for the controller, it would be very easy to do, I'm sure, and make life much, much better. So some excitement. My AIS alarm has gone off. It says there's a boat that's going to come within 0.3 miles of me in about 4 minutes time, and it's doing 7.5 knots of speed, and I can see it in the distance. It's the first sailboat I've seen in quite some time. Let me see if I can zoom in. I checked on marine traffic. It's doing 7.4 knots. And there we go, just going past 7.5 knots. I'm doing 3.5 knots. They're obviously much faster than I am. But that means all of a sudden things are getting really busy. There's another sailboat that's heading north, and then just in front of me there's a fishing buoy marker. So I better keep my eyes peeled instead of the usual every 5 to 10 minutes. Nothing to see on land, just got to make distance. Still another 11 miles to go. So there's one more thing to see. I don't know if I can show you very easily, but I have a dragonfly coming along for the ride. Oops, don't zoom in that much. I think he might be a little bit too tired to make it to land, so I'm going to try and not use my sails. Don't think there's enough wind to use my sails properly, and I'll get him closer to land later. Okay, just gone 12 o'clock and the batteries are full, so I could either go faster Or I could heat up the water for the shower tonight. I think I'm going to heat up the shower water quickly, which shouldn't take long, and then I will go faster. Changed my mind, decided to get there faster because I see it's clouding over, so I don't want to arrive when it's cloudy. So I've put 800 watts on each side, so 1.6 kilowatts, and I'm doing just over 4 knots, 4.1, 4.2 knots. Not far to go, so less than 2 hours at this speed. And it's early in the day, so we've got lots of sunshine. I can see Bundesi over there, a long pier, and yeah, been a fairly nice day. Hopefully I get a nice day like this when I do the crossing later this week. So 4 knots, just over 4 knots, okay, call it 4 knots, on 1.4 kilowatts of power. That's pretty good going, and it's 12:30 and the panels are bringing in just over 2 kilowatts. So I've got quite a bit of energy to spare. I'm busy charging the house bank, and I might also put on and off the water heater for a little while to keep the batteries full. Have a hot shower tonight, and yeah, just keep going. Okay, as you can see by the giant Grimaldi lines, it's time to start paying more attention. We'll be getting into port soon. I've got a fishing boat in front of me, and I've got the sailboat to my side, and he's been there for probably the last hour. And always goes along with what I've been thinking, is that I go the same speed as cruising sailboats. It's only the charter boats that go much faster. Right, so as you can see, we've arrived. This is an anchorage marked on Navily. It's an anchorage marked on Navionics. There's one report on Navily that says the Coast Guard asked people to leave. I'm hoping that's not going to happen. I'm not in the middle of Bundesi. I'm sort of at the outer edge, but there is a big fort or palace or something. It looks more like a fort, I think, over here, which might be worth checking out. Morning, another bright and early start. It is 6:40 a.m. I'm heading to the anchorage just before the anchorage we were going to cross. It's about 31 nautical miles today, 31.2. It's a long day. I have got a little bit of a breeze. There's well, I think there's about a 6 or a 7 knot breeze coming from the back quarter, and I'll try and put up the foresail a little bit later as we get moving to see if it gives us any speed. Morning light, looking quite nice over the castle there, and let's see what it looks like when we get out. It's quite a busy area, lots of fishing boats going out, so I'll stop recording. Getting overtaken by a large motor yacht. Somebody got their crew up early this morning to get them out. Let's see what coming through. So the sails are up, but the wind died down, and I've got this annoying swinging of the boom back and forth, which is driving me a little bit insane, and I think could potentially cause some damage. So I've got to figure that one out. It's also a cloudy day. There's blue sky over there, but the rest is all pretty dark and gloomy. So yeah, I've got to keep the sails out, even though I've only got, what have I got? Okay, now I've got 5 knots, but it was 4 just now, and yeah. But the wind is predicted to pick up a little bit as the day goes on, and I can see a bit of a glimmer of light on the water in front of me. Okay, so the solution to that was actually quite simple. I should have realized that you tie a preventer, so that line that goes along the bottom there, and it goes all the way around right to the front to a cleat over there, and I no longer have the boom jumping back and forth, which is nice. Well, the sails jumping back and forth, which is not the nicest, but the wind will pick up a little bit later on and pull those up. At the moment I'm motor sailing along. I've got both sails out quite wide because the wind is coming from behind at about 35, but it was predicted to be quite strong. It was predicted to be sort of 10 to 12 knots. In the end we've got about, what have I got now? I've got about 6 knots or so. Motors are doing 200 watts each, and I'm going about 3.5 knots, so not very fast. Charging at about 200 watts at most at the moment. The battery's quite drained because I started early this morning and I pushed hard to get out out the port quite early, but still lovely sunny day, very easy going. I'm trying to decide if I go to there's a number of different anchorages I can stop in. The wind is predicted to be northerly, so I better try and get a bit of protection from the north. There's not really a lot that's got protection from the north. I'll have to tuck in quite close to land at a few of them to get some protection. Other than that, yeah, nice day. And this is the strongest wind day we're going to have in the next while. So I'm going to be sailing without much wind. I'm going to be motoring along. Hopefully I get lots of good sunshine, because when there's no wind, I need sun. Yeah, the closest anchorage is 15.6 miles away. The furthest one is probably about 25 miles away. I'm hoping to go somewhere between those two. So today was a debatable day. I've put the sails up, but the sun is coming from that direction and the sails are in that direction. And it's blocking basically all the panels. I think I've got one panel that's sort of firing on full steam. All the rest are shaded. And with the sails and the motors, I'm doing about 3.5 knots. Now, if I started off the day without the sails and just done slow motoring, the batteries have been full by now, and then I could push a lot of power. And I think with a clear sky like this, middle of the day, I'd be putting about 1600 to 2 kilowatts of power, and I'd actually be going faster today if I didn't put my sails up. The prediction was wrong, and if I switch now, it'll take me a while to catch up with that battery power, so I'll lose a bit of speed while I'm catching up. So it's a very tough situation. A lot of variables at play. I got the variables a little bit wrong today, but let's see. The wind is predicted to strengthen a little bit more and come a bit more side on. And as the sun gets later, it'll move more to the back and it'll shine on a few more panels, so that might help as well. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll see if I make a decision later if I can rip the sails away and catch a lot of sun, or if I stay going like this. Alright, so I went for the halfway point, which was to put away the mainsail and keep the Genoa, because the mainsail was shading the Genoa and shading a lot of the panels as well. So now I've got an extra 100 watts on each motor, so 600 watts going into the motors in total. I'm doing slightly more speed than I was. I'm doing 3.6, 3.7, even 4 knots at some point. And I'm charging much faster than I was. So back to my old favourite, Genoa and motors. Okay, it's 2:30 in the afternoon and the batteries are finally full. Still got just the head sail out, got a bit of a tailwind, and I've increased the motor power now to about 500 watts on each side. I'm doing about 3.8 knots, which is not very much. I would have expected a little bit more. I might be going into a bit of current, I don't really know. It's cold outside, it's late in the year. I can't wait to get further south into Greece, where I believe it's still a little bit warmer. But that's why I'm sitting inside, and what I do is every now and then I sort of pop my head up and scan the environment. I haven't seen another boat for a very long time. I have seen one fishing marker way out here, but that's the only thing I've really seen. I've probably got about 3 or 4 hours to go, depending on which location I go to. I'm probably aiming for the one that's going to be closer now, because the day's getting on a bit. So I've got about an hour left of what has been a particularly long day. I left about 5. It is now 4:20, so I'll get to my destination at about 5:20, 5:ish or so. Yeah, it was supposed to be the only day in the next few days that was sailable. It might have been sailable if I wasn't going if the wind wasn't coming from behind. I could have used the spinnaker, but it's again one of those things I've never put up on my own, so I don't have the ability to do that. But it turns out that throwing up the mainsail was mostly a waste of time. It cost me so much energy that I would have been faster just motoring with the tailwind and charging batteries fully and getting a good amount of power. But yeah, not a bad day. It's good to get some miles done. Tomorrow will be a short day, only 10 miles, so nice and quick and easy. And then the next day I'll be leaving probably close to midnight. and slowly making my way across to Greece in the evening. It's predicted to be 0 wind, so it's going to be motoring all the way 45 miles. Yeah, I'll take it very slow in the evening, and I will speed up as soon as the sun starts putting extra power into my batteries. Okay, good morning. So the anchorage was a little bit early last night. In fact, so early it woke me up well before dawn, and wasn't going to get any sleep anyway, and I thought it was a good time to practice my morning start because that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So we've left the anchorage and pitch dark. I'm going to just be going very slow. I've only got 10 miles to do, and by the time I get to my next anchorage it will be light, which is fine. So I'm just going to keep a good watch. Okay, so I've got a nice little 819 knot breeze. So I've put up my head sail and stopped the motors, and I'm doing 2 knots, 2.1 knots, which is basically nothing. But I can't go too fast because I need to get to my destination in daylight. So 2 knots it is. I won't use any battery, which is nice. And I'll slowly make my way there. Alright, we've got some light peeking up over the horizon. It is 6:30 a.m. and the day is about to start. No wind at all. I should actually roll that sail up. I think I've got 2 knots. It's just flapping in the wind, and 6.7 miles to go. So that means I've done just over 3.5 miles or so. And there's the sunrise. I've seen so many of these lately, and I'll see another one tomorrow. Peeking over the horizon, nice looking clouds. So I wouldn't mind if they disappeared, because I want to get as much sun into this boat as I can early on. I want to charge all the batteries. I want to get the house bank charged up as well, and be ready for tomorrow's crossing. So it's not only me that finds these long days a little bit boring. Yeah, sometimes the dogs get a little bit frustrated too, so I thought it was time for a bit of a play with the podium. What do you think, big boy? So that's Otranto in the distance, but on my right are these magnificent cliffs. I was actually going to try and anchor at some of these cliffs last night if I made good enough time, but I didn't. Oh, quite something. They look great in the morning light too. Well, I've arrived to an absolutely beautiful place with the clearest water I've ever seen in Italy. It is unbelievable how clear that is. I mean, to check the anchor, I just stood on the boat and looked at the anchor, and I said, oh, okay, the anchor is buried. I've never seen water like this before. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen water like this before anywhere. Even in some of those super clear bays in Croatia. It is something else. Something else. There's the town in the background. And I will be taking the dinghy in somewhere to go and check it out. I'm not sure where yet. Maybe the beach. It is magnificent. And it should give me a good view of the boat and the clear water at the bottom here. It's unbelievable how clear that is. You can see the marina in front of us and the anchorage in the background. It's protected from everything except a northeasterly, so I guess if you had a northeasterly you'd have to go and find a berth to hide away from. I was fortunate, there was no wind. So Otranto was really old. In fact, it's from at least the 8th century BC. It used to be a Greek town, and then it was in the 928s I read that it was actually sacked by the Byzantine Empire, and all the people were sent to Africa as slaves. Now it seems to live off of tourism. It is just really beautiful. In fact, I think this might be the most beautiful city I've ever anchored in. I really loved my time here, and looking forward to doing a big crossing from here to Greece tomorrow. The weather is looking perfect for an electric boat crossing. It looks like I'll have 0 wind, like literally there won't be a breeze anywhere, so that should be a nice easy go for me. My plan is to leave at midnight, and I should arrive sometime the next afternoon, so I'm going to try and have an early night tonight, try and get asleep by sort of 7 or 8 p.m. I did have a very early start, so maybe it'll work. In the next video, I do my longest solo crossing from Italy to Greece. 48 miles at night and on a cloudy day with zero wind. Are my solar panels going to be able to do the job? Find out in the next video. Thanks for watching.